The Bragg-Mitchell Mansion is truly a piece of Mobile's antebellum history. The mansion, built in 1855, is named after the first and last owners of the historic home. The first owner, Mr. Bragg, was an attorney, judge, and congressman during the 1800s. Mr. Mitchell was in the timber business while his wife was a teacher and principal. The Mitchells passed away in the 1960s, leaving the house vacant. In 1980, work began to restore the mansion to its original beauty. The Bragg-Mitchell Mansion took 6 years and $3 million to restore. Katie Mulkern is a docent at the mansion. She gives tours of the mansion, so she knows much of the history. Mulkern says that when people imagine the antebellum South, they think of the homes.
Even though this was not a plantation per se, because we didn't have those in the immediate Mobile area, but this is what people envision, what they associate, the antebellum South with. It's basically Greek Revival architecture, and it is just so majestic.
Many of the beautiful pieces in the home were left by the Braggs and the Mitchells. There are many rooms in the mansion, and each has a special story to tell. If you want to step back in time and see what antebellum life was like, then visit Bragg-Mitchell Mansion. Fort Gaines, located along Dauphin Island, is a historic landmark in the South. It was built as a national defense system in the event of a war. Fort Gaines is named after Edmund Pendleton Gaines, a military general during the 1800s. The Battle of Mobile Bay was fought here at Fort Gaines in 1864. The Battle of Mobile Bay was one of the biggest naval battles during the Civil War. Joseph Everett is a park ranger at Fort Gaines. Everett says that even men who had fought in many wars called the Battle of Mobile Bay one of the toughest that they had ever been in.
Admiral Farragut, the admiral in charge of the federal fleet, actually said it was the worst battle that he had ever been in, and this is a man who actually fought in battles in the War of 1812, so he knew what battles were all about.
Fort Gaines had everything that a soldier could need, such as a pantry and kitchen, barracks, and even a blacksmith shop. Today, a blacksmith still works at Fort Gaines. You can see up close just how tools, such as nails, are created. The fort is no longer activated, but you can still visit it to get a real-life look into what life was like for a soldier.
If you want to take a step back in time, then look no further than Battleship Memorial Park. Since 1965, the battleship has welcomed over 13 million visitors. The battleship won 9 battle stars and never suffered casualties or significant damage during its time in combat. The battleship was brought to Alabama after a 2-year campaign to raise money to bring the USS Alabama home. This campaign included a donation from local school children of nearly $100,000. Bill Tunnell is the executive director of Battleship Memorial Park, and he said the park is a Mobile treasure because there are only 7 battleships on display in the United States.
Battleship is the most recognized symbol of the state of Alabama. You got 22 million people that drive back and forth on I-10 every year, so we've been here 46 years now.
Visitors of the battleship get the feel of being a World War II soldier by seeing how the soldiers lived while on the battleship. However, Battleship Memorial Park also contains the Airplane Pavilion and USS Drum. Battleship Memorial Park's Airplane Pavilion is home to many warplanes and vehicles, including this military Jeep, which was used during the Korean War. According to Tunnell, the USS Drum is even more celebrated in honors than the USS Alabama. Drum has won 12 battle stars during its time in battle. Battleship Memorial Park hosts tour groups, field trips, and military reunions to give people an opportunity to see our piece of history on the Gulf Coast. Every year, the spirit of Mardi Gras is in full swing in downtown Mobile. However, the Mobile Carnival Museum carries the spirit of Mardi Gras all year round. Mobilians always knew there should be a museum dedicated to Mardi Gras, but it was often viewed as only serving a few people. But through the efforts of those dedicated to the Mardi Gras industry, the museum finally opened in 2005. Mobile Carnival Museum not only celebrates Mobile parades, but also its royalty. Featured here in the museum is this train worn by Queen Jeanette Goodyear Smith. Many of the items featured in the museum are robes, crowns, and scepters. The robes featured in the museum are the actual robes of the kings and queens of various Mardi Gras organizations. But Judy Gullidge, executive director of the Mobile Carnival Museum, says these items have a deeper meaning for Mobile.
Most people don't realize that anything that you see in the museum is nothing that can be bought in a store. Everything is custom designed, custom made, and most of it created right here in Mobile by locally talented people.
Many Mobilians take pride in Mardi Gras and the museum, including Gullidge.
It makes me proud as a Mobilian to have something that highlights Mobile in such a positive way.
With visitors from all 50 states and 19 countries across the world, the Mobile Carnival Museum makes many Mobilians proud of being from the port city.